This podcast contains real opinions, raw energy, and zero apologies. If that electrifies you, good. Welcome to the BSing with Y Eagle Y podcast. Hit that like button and turn it up. Let's rock.
I'm Rob. Welcome to BSing with Y Eagle Y. I appreciate you all taking the time to hang out tonight. Before we dive into everything, how's life been for ColorMeKrazy lately? How's it
Hey,
going,
I
guys?
mean, it's been good. We just got done with a killer weekender. We just did Charlotte, and then last night we were actually in Eastern Tennessee in Johnson City. So, yeah, we've been just traveling a lot. We're real tired, but we're real excited about everything we've done this year and everything that's yet to come.
Heck yeah. So, for everyone watching who may be discovering ColorMeKrazy tonight, tell us a little about yourselves and what each of you bring to the band.
Tom, you go ahead.
Well, Color Me Crazy started in 2023. Uh, I'm sorry, what was the question again? I was distracted by my cat.
Just tell us a little about yourself and what do you bring to the band?
Yeah, well, I'm Tom. I play guitar and I write a lot of the instrumentation for the band. Um, yeah,
I'm Drew, and I mostly work in spreadsheets and emails, and occasionally I get to pick up the guitar and have a little fun.
I'm Mia. I am the frontman and the lead singer, and I help with instrumentation and I write the lyrics, and I also do all of our social media. So if you're talking on social media, you're probably talking to me.
Good deal. Good deal. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Thanks for spending your time with us today. Everybody, we're talking to Color Me Crazy. We've got Mia, Drew, and Tom here with us. You guys make up the core of the band, and you've had some other friends come in and sit in with you and so forth on your live shows and things like that. But seeing that you guys are pretty much the core member that have made up this band from the very beginning, talk to us about how you guys all got together and tell us a little bit about that 3 in the morning text message.
Yeah, so basically, I got really bored where I was living previously. I was previously living in Middle Virginia. I couldn't really find bandmates where I was at. And so I decided to look to other states and see what areas were available to me. And I already had some connections here in Raleigh. So I decided to pull the plug and move here back in 2023. And shortly after moving, I got on this website called Bandmix. This thing looks ancient. Like it looks like MySpace level ancient. It is old internet HTML and CSS. And you can message
wow.
people in like this almost email format about joining a band. So I found Tom on there. I heard his demos, heard how like post-hardcore, metalcore they were, but it was very like late 2000s, early 2010s sounding. And I was like, oh, that's my jam. So I reached out to him at 3 a.m. because I have bouts of insomnia. And about 5 seconds later, he replies because at the time he was working the night shift. And I was like, who is this psycho that's like messaging me back? Like, should I be scared? Should I actually meet up with this guy? But as we got talking, we were talking online and everything and sharing like demos back and forth. I sent him like a demo of my voice over one of his instrumentals. We decided it was a good fit. And then we reached out to Drew shortly afterwards on the same website, funny enough. And I saw like pictures of him on stage, and I think he might have sent us a demo video as well of him playing something. And there was just like something about his like stage presence and like the charisma factor that I was like, okay, I think he's gonna be a really good like rhythm addition to the band. Because that's, one of the things that we really try to do is put on a killer live performance. And I think Drew has helped us do that instrumentally.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of Drew, I've heard he gets called the band dad, And where did that nickname come from, and how do you earn
Mia, you started it.
Oh, do I have to? It's mostly because Tom and I are very creative, not very organized. And so most of the organization in this band comes down to Drew because Drew is an insanely responsible and organized person. And so, given there's a little bit of an age gap there as well, and we all know the adage like band dad, it seemed only right that he have this title, especially since whenever I don't know what's going on or I'm a little nervous or I'm like, I'm not sure if I should do this or not, I tend to go to Drew. I tend to
Saves us a
ask.
lot of money on managers.
Yeah, it sure does. Sure does.
Awesome.
Well, this question's actually for all three of you, but I'm going to address all of you. Drew, you started playing the bass as a teenager, and then later you moved to the guitar. Mia, you and Tom both come from musical families. You guys individually tell us and tell our viewers a little bit about your musical upbringing and the journey that brought you to where you are currently in your musical careers. Talk about that a little bit, because all you guys started a little young.
Drew, you go ahead and start this time.
I was definitely the late bloomer in this one. Tom and Mia started much younger than me. I didn't get going until early high school. I had a friend who got a bass guitar, and I went over to his house one time, and he told me to just like hold it and pluck the string. And he like cranked the bass like way up, like 10 out of 10 volume, and I just felt the rumble in the room. I was like, yeah, I want that. So I went home and I asked my parents, and they went in half and bought me my first bass. And yeah, about a year or two later is when I picked up the electric guitar.
Nice.
Awesome.
As far as my story goes, I grew up with a recording studio in my basement, all built out by my dad. My dad, very much like myself, is an adult man with ADHD. So it's not just that we had a couple of guitars sitting around growing up. We had like 20 plus guitars.
Oh,
We didn't
wow.
have a drum kit. We had three of them. So it was basically inevitable for me. Played with bands all through high school. After that, I started tour managing bands, actually, doing like 2, 3 weeks on the road at a time for a couple different bands. And then COVID hit, and now we're back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that kind of messed everyone up.
Yeah, I hate how it messed everything up.
Yeah, for
See,
me. Oh no, you go ahead, Tom. You keep going.
I was gonna say I don't like going outside anyway. I don't really like interacting with a whole lot of people all the time. So it was kind of prime time for me. Yeah, shows weren't going on. Yeah, the music was going nowhere. But everybody staying 6 feet away from me, incredible.
So,
Mia, you're
oh,
up.
go ahead, Mia.
Yeah, so basically, the way that I started, like you said, I have a musical family. Like my great grandmother played like pipe organ, piano, French horn. She painted. Like she was this overall like creative person. And then my grandfather as well, he always sang and he sang with bands and they even like recorded like a record back in the 60s and like all this other stuff. Um, so then he passed that on to my mom, who also sang and was very musical and so on and so forth. And then it came down to me. And I was like, oh, well, clearly, it's gone passed down in the bloodline long enough. Clearly, it's one of us has got to make it at some point, right? So now it's my turn. Now I'm trying. Um, and I decided that I would try ever since I watched American Idol when I was like 6 years old or so. I saw Kelly Clarkson on that TV, and I was like, I want that to be me one day. So
Wow.
I've been working to make that dream happen ever since. And somewhere along the way, I started listening to a lot of alternative bands back in the Warped Tour days. It actually started for me with the Twilight soundtrack. I heard more of the Twilight soundtrack, and it sent me down a rabbit hole of just learning about alternative bands. And I started listening to, Cute is What We Aim For, like Story So Far, Black Veil Brides. Um, Scary Kids Scaring Kids, like a lot of those like kind of MySpace-esque bands were really what I was into in like middle school and early high school. So from that sort of time period, I kind of knew that I wanted to be in a band. And so I had a couple bands in high school and one in college. And kind of like Tom, things fell apart. COVID happened, big whirlwind of a time. And then I got to about 25 and I was like, I think it's time to have a quarter life crisis now. And realize that I haven't actually been working towards the thing that I've been wanting to work towards since I was like 4 years old. So let me try to do that now. So you know the rest of it. I moved, I found Tom and Drew, and the rest is history. We're making it happen now.
All right.
So, speaking of making it happen, you know, every band has that moment where things suddenly become real. What was the first this might actually work moment for Color Me Crazy?
For me, it was the first song that we demoed together. It's a song called Losing My Head off of our first EP. And it was my first time really ever trying to mash up the two genres of like the hyper pop versus the emo post hardcore thing. And going into it, I was like, I have no idea what this is going to sound like. I might be doing this all for nothing. This might sound absolutely terrible. And that is still one of my favorite songs that we've put out to this day. So, right there at the beginning, that was gave me a lot of good momentum with us.
Nice.
Drew, I'm curious how you feel.
I don't know. I think there's a few I could point to. We keep having like these little baby steps here and there, and everyone feels like, oh, now we're doing something, and like, oh, now we're doing something or whatever. But I'd say the first one for me was the first time we stepped on stage for real, which was in April of 2024 is when we played our first show. So just like being in front of other people that weren't us and just our close friends and family that heard the songs, just seeing how other people respond to it was for me.
Well, you guys got past the hardest part, which is starting.
That's
So,
right.
A lot of people just think about it and never start. So
We also escaped the one EP local band curse, where every great local band puts out one EP and just splits. We managed to avoid that.
yep.
Look, if there's one thing I'm doing, I'm gluing us together. You guys can't escape me. We have something and we're going to make it happen. I'm going to have to die for us to not make it.
You guys are stuck with Mia. She's not going anywhere.
I'm like an evil ex-girlfriend. I'm never truly gone.
What's that movie with the girl? I will find you. Was that Wedding Crashers?
My super ex-girlfriend?
No, it was a Vince Vaughn movie. I can't remember now. I think it was Wedding Crashers. It was 100% Wedding Crashers.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you guys bring an array of musical styles into your songs, including pop punk, a little bit of emo pop punk, and you've got some electronic elements in there. Who would you say were your biggest influences musically? I'm always interested in who you're influenced by because it creates the soup that you guys make with your music.
For me, if we're talking about sonically, it's always been Census Fail is my favorite band. As far as how to structure things, I'm also really big into a heavier band called Amir, and a lot of their songs are just super simple. It's like two chords, all just chugging and heavy, whatever. But they're still able to make a song super interesting with two chords. So I've always kind of taken that as a value when writing.
Okay.
So, oh, go ahead, Mia.
For me, I would say like I've gone through a lot of like different phases with music. Like I'm kind of the kind of person that listens to a little bit of everything. So I would say my biggest influences have been like when I started working on electronic production. So like I started making like emo rap beats, and then that turned into like dance beats and like all sorts of other stuff. So I think like uh, Grimes was a big one like at first because she kind of showed me like back when this was back when her first album released with like Oblivion and all of that. And I saw in an interview her talking about her experience like teaching herself how to like DJ and like, you know, do electronic production. And I was like, oh, I could just do this in my bedroom. I don't have to like have a studio or like all this equipment or anything. So I just kind of started, and I started listening to like a lot of different artists like Breakins and Eden and people who are doing really interesting things with electronic production. And it really inspired me to like, you know, make the kind of glitchy core stuff that I make now. Um,
Weren't you
yeah.
doing some style beats kind of similar to Lil Peep?
I was because at the time it was so popular and also it sounded simple enough that I could recreate it. That's how I really learned how to do it at first.
Heck yeah.
So,
Drew, you want to add something?
Sure. Yeah. Mine is, similar to Tom. It's from that same time frame with Census Fail and all that. Basically, if you were on drive-through records in the 2000s, like Census Fail was, you were a big inspiration to me. I loved all those bands. And then that carried over into I started getting a little bit heavier with things like Under Oath and A Day to Remember.
Oh
Um,
man, I love Under Oath.
yeah. But I kind of stopped listening to new music in like the early 2010s, and I still listen to all the exact same stuff now. So all the new bands, I don't know any of them.
Okay.
so if someone had never heard your music before, what's the one song you would tell them to start with and why?
Mia?
I would say Crying in the Club. Every time I say a different song, someone like comments and is like, "No, actually, I would recommend Crying in the Club. I think you should listen to Crying in the Club." So I'm just gonna go with like the fan favorite, Crying in the Club.
All right.
That seems to be the fan favorite, but it's kind of our one-off. Like, the rest of our stuff is quite different from it, but
Mm-hmm.
people do seem to be drawn to that one.
The funny thing is, I demoed that in like half an hour. Like I just kind of whipped it together, and it is everyone's favorite.
I don't even think I tried that hard, like lyrically or vocally, to be honest. Like it just kind of came together in like 5 minutes because he called the demo "Crying in the Club," and I was like, well, what if I like actually used that as the hook of the song? You know, just as a joke. And then I like wrote this whole thing around it, and I was like, well, why would someone be crying in the club? And I'm like, well, I have social anxiety. I don't like clubs, so let me write about that. And then it came together, and we were like, yeah, it's catchy, but like, you know, we didn't work very hard on it. So I guess that's why we don't think like, oh, this is so great, you know, because like it just kind of came easy.
Well, since you guys brought it up, I was going to ask this later down the line when we got to some of the songs, but since you brought it up, one of your very early Facebook posts is you guys doing an acoustic version of Crying in the Club. And so I was going to ask for a band that's accustomed to electronic elements, especially in your live sets. Do you find those songs to be a little difficult to do acoustically, or is that just a whole lot of fun for you guys?
Well, Mia's been bothering me to put together an acoustic set for like year and a half, 2 years, and I still ain't done that. So that kind of answers that question.
I just love acoustic shows. I just think like if okay, like I would only do it like locally, like it would be like a Raleigh exclusive thing. But I don't know, as like a year-end event or like something special or like you could like do an acoustic set for like a charity event or like something. You know, I've just been like cooking all these ideas in my head of like ways that we could use it, but I just feel like they're so intimate and they feel a lot more like relaxed than like a regular show where you can kind of just like, you know, almost talk to the crowd while you're performing and like do all of that stuff. I just love the vibe of that. I think it's such a great way to connect with the audience.
You know, I have a question
Absolutely.
for you guys, you know, because so many artists lately have went the independent route, how much freedom does that give you compared to, you know, working with an outside producer? Or what would you imagine if you've never worked with one? How
We were
much
very
freedom does
lucky.
that give you guys?
We were very lucky in that the producer that we worked with on our new EP was very much, he wanted to learn how to make our sound come out the best. He wasn't trying to really hold the reins in a huge way. His name's Dan Saldariaga, Dan Salda on Instagram. He does amazing work. But yeah, I mean, it is what makes this appealing to me. Given I think I would like the challenge of somebody saying, hey, you need to make this kind of song. But at the end of the day, so much of Color Me Crazy has to do with my personal self expression, at least for my part that I contribute to it. Yeah, it's invaluable, you know?
That's an answer for a lot of independent bands these days. You know, it's hard to find a good producer or record company, because they're looking out for themselves and not the artist. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need somebody that's completely invested in you and cares about your project, not somebody that's just trying to make a buck off of you, or else you're not going to get the best product out of it.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I hate that, in fact, recently I was studying up on a band, the Donnas, and that's kind of something that happened in there. They were a great female band in the 90s during the push of a lot of underground alternative and everything, and they got really big. And when it came to their second album, the record company just really backed away from them and all that. So, yeah, it can be tough. So, you guys being able to get with a great producer that's all about you, all about your, absolutely a positive step, man. That's awesome.
For sure.
But what you're
Yeah,
doing is also hinting at something we were going to ask later on too. You're basically telling us up front, you guys got another EP coming out. Is that right?
yes, we do. Drew could tell you a lot more about like the timing of all of it, but yeah, all of these singles that we've been releasing this year, since we released Air at the beginning of the year, have been leading up to our second EP. It's called We Know the Truth, and kind of the theming around the EP is ever since we started this band, the rise of AI in the arts has been ever
Mhm.
prevalent. And so there's a lot of different themes that go on in the album, but there's a lot of like lyrics that sort of tie into that idea of, self-expression sort of being taken from us by artificial intelligence. So a lot of those lines, in Your Favorite Band, which is already out, in Error, there's a couple lines in Pressure about it, are just about that sort of depressing, almost fearful feeling of like self-expression being encroached upon in this way, and kind of also criticizing other people for kind of like lying down and taking it, man.
Tapping
Like
out.
there's so many people in music that are like, well, it's gonna come for us anyway, so we might as well use it. And I'm just like,
I hate
no,
that
how
mindset.
about we go back to, I mean, what's punk about just lying down and taking it? Like, are we serious?
Yeah, the Sex Pistols would never do that, right?
Yeah, no, those guys would hate this.
Those guys were a marketing ploy for weird fetish clothing shop, but I
It's
digress.
true, it's true. But like, there's many bands I can think of in the past that if this had come out at their time, there would have been hell to pay.
It'd be like those
For sure.
flock cameras, people cutting them down and everything else, huh?
Yeah, that's definitely happening.
Well, at this time, if you're tuning in with us tonight, drop in the chat where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions for the band, drop them in there as well. And Ferg, if you don't have any more questions about the recording or anything else, I'd like to move into the music now and talk about
Oh,
their music. Huh? You ready
Well,
to
I
go?
do have some questions right before we jump into the songs. I want to talk about you've shared the stage with some of the other local acts there in Raleigh, like Pretty Pity, Moving Boxes, American Theory, who you most recently did a collaboration with on one of your most recent singles. So we're kind of diving off into the songs now. Describe the music scene there in Raleigh and the camaraderie amongst these bands, or maybe the lack thereof. What are you seeing on the music scene there in Raleigh as you guys are sharing the stage, and talk about the fan reaction?
I think our scene here is very collaborative and very supportive. It's not. I've heard of different areas where it's a little more competitive and people aren't willing to like work with each other and help each other out. And that's not at all what we have here. Not just in Raleigh, but across the entire state. With heavy concentrations in Raleigh and Charlotte. That's where a lot of the bands are based. Mostly Charlotte, honestly. But as far as like what our scene is in Raleigh, I mean, there's a lot of much heavier bands in this area. We kind of stick out a little bit as being a little more poppy, but there's lots of metal and metalcore. We have a little bit of that, but we're much poppier than most of the bands that we end up playing with. There's
Okay.
a handful of Midwest emo bands that we play with, and some other like kind of straight down the middle pop punk bands. But we generally end up playing with a lot of heavier bands.
And I can say comparatively, I'm originally from northeastern Pennsylvania, from a small resort town. And the difference between coming down here, where there is actual value in original live music, versus up there, where you had better be in a cover band if you want anybody to listen to you at all, it it kind of gave me like this weird dysphoric view of how receptive people could be to alternative music. I just kind of accepted the idea that, okay, I'm doing this weird fringe thing that no one's ever going to care about. I come down here, start this weird band, and people love it. So incredible scene down here.
And you guys pretty much hit the stage with originals when you began, right? Like you guys
Yep.
didn't really waste a lot of time with covers.
No.
Yeah, we've only done like a handful of covers in our time, and a lot of them have been short lived too, a couple of shows and then we shelved it. So
We do have one cooking up right now that you guys will hear at some point live. But this time around, we wanted to kind of make it as original as possible, so to speak. Like, really reimagine the song, completely redo the original instrumentation in a way that feels way more close to something that we would write. Because I think only one of our covers in the past really felt like that, and it's when we covered Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus. I still think we should bring that one back at some point because I think it was a really good cover. Um, I think it just didn't fit with our set at the time because of the way that we were doing it, but I think it's a good cover. Um, but yeah, I think we didn't want to do a lot of covers because we didn't want to get pegged as a cover band because that's not our intent. We want to be known as an originals band who sometimes does a cover.
There you go.
All right. Well, I want to move a little into the music, and I want to start with, you know, the debut project, Paint the World. Looking back now, what does that release mean to the band, and how do you think it laid the foundation for everything that's followed?
Mia?
Okay. Well, I think that Paint the World, it was a totally unplanned body of work at first. Because we put out Losing My Head as like, hi world, we're here. Um, and as we kept writing songs, we kept finishing them, and then we kept like putting them out. We did have somewhat of a release schedule, but it was like we were finishing the tracks right before they came out, sort of deal. We were always running out of time. And so I think like the way that I see it is that it's a miracle that EP sound as like planned as it does. But at the same time, we wrote so many demos, like when we first got together of like different songs that like when we sat down and we were like, okay, which ones do we actually want to finish for the EP? We had like a lot of songs that just cohesively sounded good together. And those are the ones that we ultimately chose for Paint the World. I still think like this next EP is like such a level up from it in that we had like an overall concept for the EP instead of it just being like we're gonna write a bunch of great songs and put them on a body of work. But I think that like Paint the World is really a testament to the fact that, you know, me, Drew, and Tom like write really good songs together and really catchy songs together. And I think Crying in the Club still being like one of our top songs is a testament to that too. So
Well,
yeah.
Mia, you have a question in the chat. Whose singing voice would you steal and why? And then Drew and Tom have a question as well.
I'm gonna say I would steal. I would steal Amy Lee from Evanescence's voice.
Good choice.
Her voice is incredible, and like to this day, she still sounds incredible live. So
Mm-hmm.
All right, Drew and Tom, whose instrument skills would you steal and why?
You want to go first, Tom?
I'm gonna say Jesse Keytyve from Muir. Just his right hand control, everything he does is so tight. You know, he's not necessarily like a shredder, but like, goddamn, he can write.
Tom's answer is actually very similar to mine. I didn't realize this was going to be the case, but I'm not a flashy guy. I like blending into the background. I would never want to be a shredder. I'm not trying to get up on the stage and, rip. So I'm just going to go with the rhythm guitars for my favorite band. I would take Neil Westfall and just blend into the background of a day to remember, provide some awesome screams in the back. Yeah, that's all me.
Heck yeah.
Well, while you guys are saying that you're not shredders, the song that you recently collaborated with American Theory, Bide, this one is a pure rocker. It comes at you hard and fast right out of the gate. And in the video, you guys are bringing such great energy, and there's a lot of emotion poured into that one. There's really nice guitar melodies. They get a little thicker and heavier as you move toward the dual scream parts. And on the back end of that, because I want you guys to talk about that whole compilation. I love it. It's a rocker. On the back end of that, who came up with the idea to throw in the whispering there, which I think is a super cool effect?
So that was my idea. I don't know how I came up with that. It was just like I heard the guitar part that Tom had written, and to me it just kind of sounded like the. This is gonna sound crazy, but like it sounded like the guitar was whispering. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh, I think that like if I'm gonna hit a big note when this chorus comes in, that it would sound a lot more impactful if I like whispered the pre-chorus at first. So I'm glad that you like that because I thought it was
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of cool.
Yeah, I love finding little Easter eggs in the song, but going back, you guys that play the guitars, you say you don't want to shred. You guys are rocking your asses off on that song, dude.
I'll jump around like an idiot on stage all day. I just don't want to shred with my fingers.
Yeah, to be fair, I originally wrote the instrumentation for Bide when I was 19 years old. I'm almost 32 now. So I've been playing that song for so long. Every single time I pick up a guitar, the first thing I play is the Bide riff. That was just the Tom
Okay.
riff for 10 plus years. So it doesn't feel like shredding anymore.
So that's a Tom original now.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to step back to 2025, Bittersweet.
Mm-hmm.
And so listening to the song and, the lyrics, at the start, it was like I couldn't sleep. This was all I could ever want it to be. but still my heart wanted more. You know, many people spend years trying to reach a goal, and when they finally get there, they realize success doesn't quite the desire, and often there's another goal. So, um, what inspired you to write this song?
Well, so one cool thing about this song is that it's the first song that the instrumental was primarily written by Drew. And I think Drew was the perfect one to write this because I had been wanting to kind of express the ideas in this song for a while, but I really wanted like something very feelsy sounding to do it. And the idea behind the song, not to get super sappy, sorry guys, is that I was kind of I really wanted to be successful in music, you know, like we talked about. Like I really wanted it for so long. Um, but as we've been like chasing it together, like me, Tom, and Drew, I kind of found like a newfound sense of like satisfaction in that I finally feel like I'm like chasing this with two people that I really want to be chasing it with. Um, and I really feel like deep down, like we were meant to like, you know, find each other and start this band. It just feels like so correct in so many ways. And so the bittersweet sort of feeling of that song is that, you know, while we haven't necessarily like achieved the goal yet that we've, you know, set out for ourselves, I'm still sort of feeling the sweetness of exploring it together. So, and Drew, if
Yeah,
you want to talk about the instrumental, feel free.
Yeah, well, so the instrumental is inspired by a song that's, kind of similar in feeling of what me ended up writing, which is not surprising. She listens to a song and she gathers that feeling and she always manages to put it into words really well. But like I said, my favorite band earlier is A Day to Remember. And the song that brought me onto them was If It Means a Lot to You, which, if you know A Day to Remember, you know that song is one of their biggest songs. And it starts
Hmm.
slow, just like Bittersweet does, and then it builds up to the big release at the end. So I always wanted to write that song that would start slow and build and just be super meaningful. And so yeah, I passed it on to me, and she finished the job.
Heck yeah. Well,
Th- there's
good.
another set of lyrics in that song that you know, I sent out a letter, put my dreams at the center, and it just, like we spoke about before, you know, breaking down a song, people hear the words, but they don't put it together and how it relates to them. But, it feels like taking a chance, whether it's sending demo tapes, submitting a job like application, launching a podcast, asking someone out, or just simply putting yourself out into the world. You know, there's so many ways people can relate to it by listening to the words of the song. You know, everyone knows what it feels like to risk rejection in the pursuit of something meaningful. So
Yep.
In your song Ex Friend, this one also seems a little bit of a fan favorite. It starts with this great drum beats, a little bit of techno, some auto tune, and some voice effects, and then it turns fast like punk and even adds some metal style riffs. And in the video, Mia, you're on the bass in the video to this one. And then you've got these lyrics here. This is a letter to my ex friend. I never want to see you again. Was this song personal, or was it just a fun rock and take on the subject? And then talk about those musical elements I mentioned.
Yeah, it was definitely personal. Funny enough, right before we started the band, I had a major falling out with a friend. And this friend, I won't go into like the whole story, but they betrayed me in a very big way. And so, around when that happened, I was starting to write demos with Tom, and he sent me the initial instrumental with the guitars of this song. And I was like, oh, I'm going to take out all of my feelings on this song. And so that's what I did. I just kind of like pen to paper, like manically, like wrote everything that I was feeling and turned it into the song that you now know. But yeah, it was personal.
Okay.
Tom, you want to talk about the instrumental?
Yeah, so I mean, it was a riff that I've been sitting on for a while. Originally, the riff was written for one guitar, and a lot of our guitar parts have been written in that way, and I just kind of make up a higher part for me to play. I let Drew
Uh-huh.
play what I originally wrote. Um, and this is one, it was one of our earlier songs, and still I was trying to sneak breakdowns into our songs. We finally like really actually for sure got it on bide, but in X Friend, like I wanted that heavy halftime, the curtain call part, like yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, it's absolutely there for sure. I'll tell you, for you guys to you market yourself a little bit in this pop pop punk, genre, but you guys still find a way to bring a lot of rock and metal into these songs. And I think that resonates with your listeners because you're getting that sound, but you also have an upbeat feel. When you have an upbeat and a positive spin, even on a sad subject like Ex Friend, people gravitate to that. And you see that in your fan reactions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I think X Friend is one of those that like, it's not quite as popular as Crying in the Club, but I do like see people like come up to us at the merch table and stuff like that and be like, "Oh my God, I love X Friend. X Friend is so cool." And I think, yeah, I think you're right on the money. I don't know why Tom keeps saying sneak breakdowns into our songs, by the way, because I've been about it since the beginning. I just
But you
didn't
got to
want.
make it tasteful, like I could
Yeah,
throw
it shouldn't
breakdown
sound
into
cheap.
every song and we'll see how that goes, but
I get what you mean. I get what you mean. I just want the world to know I love it when Tom writes a breakdown.
Well, moving into error, so the newer material, error feels like the start of a new chapter. You know, uh, what does that song represent to Color Me Crazy, and why was the song the kickoff of this era?
So I think like towards the end of last year, we had started writing a lot like heavier of stuff. And Error was interesting because it started with this sort of Afrobeat inspired beat that I had sent to Tom. I had found like this really cool like sample, and I had heard another song actually. This is gonna make everybody laugh, but there is a K-pop song by this artist called Leo that has a Afrobeat to it. And I heard it and I was like, yo, this is a really great groove. I wonder how this would sound with guitars. And so I made a very similar beat. I found a cool sample to use for it, added my own little sparkle to it, and then I sent it to Tom and I was like, this is different, but give it a try. And he made the coolest thing with it. And then from there, like once we added Drew's vocal part, like once Drew was able to come in with the, big "We Know the Truth," which by the way, that's the name of the EP, he gets to sing that. I think it just like completed everything.
that one was also very cool to put together as well because she sent me her half of things and I was like trying to write a new guitar part, something, whatever. And then I went back to one of my demos from when I was 19 and I essentially went and it worked. I just
Heck
put it
yeah.
on top of it and incorporated it. Yeah.
So don't ever throw away those songs you've been holding back. Don't throw those away. You can put them to good use.
If
Absolutely.
the viewers on this take away anything, if you have any musicians watching, keep everything. I have reused riffs from when I was 19, 16, half my life old, Like keep it around.
And it is pretty cool on that one that the guys do get to come in on the background vocals in there. That adds an extra element. And that's what's pretty cool about you guys and your music. Each song takes on a life of its own. There's no two songs that are like the last one, so that somebody doesn't just nail you down and box you into a certain category of how you're writing. And I think that's pretty unique.
That is so intentional on our part. Like we have a lot of demos that are sitting that they're not going to see the light of day until they get a little facelift and look a little different than other demos we have. There's admittedly a few in there where I'm like, I listen to them back to back and I'm like, too similar. Can't release them in the same decade at the very least, you know?
Well, talking a little more about error and what you mentioned earlier about, technology and stuff, feels like this song's about holding on to your humanity in a rapidly changing world, technology dependence, emotional struggle, misinformation, uncertainty, you know, while the lyrics contain, somewhat of a grim imagery, they also carry an underlying message of hope. You know, recognize what's happening, stay true to your values, don't give up your ability to choose your own path. That kind of feel. So, uh, y'all done absolutely a great job with this new song.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mia, you want to continue to make videos in addition to making the EPs. Who helps produce those videos for you guys? Who's holding the camera? Who's helping you guys out? You guys have put together some really creative videos. Some of them look vintage and old school, and some look very modern. And just as your music is diverse, you've took a different style with each of the videos. Who's helping you guys out with that?
So we actually have two like main creative forces that sort of help us put this project together. So first, I'll talk about Shanna. She goes by Opener Photography on Instagram, and she really helps us with a lot of the visual elements in our band. So all of our first like single arts and even the backdrops to some of our music videos and stuff have been painted and created by Shanna. She is a very like talented like craftsman. She's also an author. You should definitely read her books. She has a series of books. What are they called again, Drew?
What are the titles of the books?
Yeah, give us the titles of the books.
Marry Me, Rock Me, and Touch Me, in that order.
And,
Number 4 is on the way in September. Tempt Me.
Yes. But yeah, she is very like visually gifted, and she also takes all of our photos at our live shows. So she's been like instrumental in helping us to create like a cohesive visual identity for ourselves. And then the person who's actually behind the camera for most of our music videos is my husband. He goes by @Moose Autos online, and we tagged him at the end of all of our music videos. But he took some filmography classes in college, and he's always had like a very deep interest in film. His favorite horror movie is The Thing because of all the practical effects and all of that stuff. So when I approached him and I was like, "Hey, I'm starting this band." And we need a music video. Would you like to hold the camera? He was kind of like, yeah, you know what? I think I could make this happen. So he's kind of been learning alongside us, and I personally think that he's getting better at filming every single time he films the music video for us. And he also helps me with like storyboarding out the music videos before we do them, so that we kind of have a plan for all the shots and everything. But yeah, and then the rest is just my brain. Because every time we make a song, I'm already planning in my head, like, what's this music video gonna look like? So that's how it all comes together.
Heck yeah.
Well, I want to talk about another song, and it's one of your latest releases, which is Pressure. Um, you know, there's a line, about being all that you want from me and none of what I want to be. It really resonates with me because I think a lot of people have felt that at some point in their lives. And, you know, was the lyrics drawn from like a personal experience, or was it meant to reflect the pressure that so many people face today?
I think Drew can probably relate to this sentiment, but the actual origin of me writing this song is like the pressure that you feel in a corporate job.
Yeah.
You always have to have a mask on, you always have to say the right thing, you always have to impress the client, you always have to like mm. And at least for me, it's very antithetical to who I really am as a person. So at this time, I was just kind of like under a lot of pressure at my day job, and I just felt so frustrated, and I felt like I had to write about it. Um, and I also like, I would say the quarter life crisis thing, like I went through a long period of my life where I was like kind of trying to fit into the traditional box of like, well, I'm just going to have a 9 to 5 job and I'm going to get married and I'm going to be happy. I'm just going to live like a
Hmm.
normal person. And that was just
Uh-huh.
never me.
Yeah, I started to say how'd that turn out because I'm kind of the same way. I'm not cut from that cloth of just I got to be doing something. I got to be in the scene. I can't. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and Drew knows
Hey,
that. I mean, Drew's the most in the
to-
scene of all of us. He's
yeah.
always doing the live shows.
And speaking of that, let's have a little fun with the questions now. Not that this hasn't been fun. This has been great. But Drew, tell us about this famous whiskey room.
Oh man. Um, Actually, let me take you on a tour real quick.
Let's do it.
Hang on, I gotta get the good lamp for the good lighting. All right, so you can see behind me. I'll give you a quick overview first. Let me make sure the camera's looking good. All right, so I got 3 shelves. I have all of my bourbons here, top shelf down to bottom shelf. I've got over here is assorted whiskeys. So I've got all my Elijah Craigs, lots of barrel proofs up top. They all look the same, but they're all very different. Then a bunch of different scotches down here. Then I've got some rye and some international whiskeys down here on this shelf. And then over here is my pride and joy. This is my Isla Scotch shelf. So it's one specific island in Scotland.
Okay.
Make a very specific peaty, smoky type of scotch. It's my favorite. I actually went to Scotland about a month ago and came back with some of these distillery exclusives that you can't get anywhere in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the whiskey room.
Nice.
Well, I kind of stumbled upon that little tidbit and noticed you were a collector, and it appealed to me because I'll never forget when I was doing home restoration, we went to work on a homeowner's home one time, and quite like you, had an entire room dedicated, and he collected Jack Daniels bottles from all certain eras, and just a lot of them were not opened, and so we had to be very, very careful not to get them open or break them or whatnot. And I found that interesting that you had a collection there,
Hmm.
and I said we got to bring this up in the interview. We got to let Drew show us the whiskey room.
Yeah, I could talk whiskey all day.
I can drink it.
Well, yeah, we can talk about it while we're drinking it. How about that?
No, but you know, moving on to another recent release is your favorite band, and the lyrics. Your favorite band is dodging artist DMs because they can generate an album cover better, faster, and stronger. And I think that's where y'all brought up the AI generation, like creating music and stuff. Could you talk a little about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like over the past few years, like every time I see like an artist like AI generated album cover or a show poster or something to that effect, all I can think about is the fact that some artist out there could have created that art or could have been paid to create some art. And that
Mm-hmm.
opportunity is slowly being taken from them. Uh, Not to mention the like kind of creative bankruptcy angle of it, where it's like, okay, you're just going to get an album cover that looks like everybody else's album cover. But I think more so than that, for me, it's the loss of work for so many artists out there that really bothers me.
Yeah. They were coming for you,
Absolutely.
Ferg. You heard?
Man, I'll tell you, I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
No, but absolutely. I mean, even in the workplace, other than podcasting, I have to make a living to be able to fund the podcast. So even in the workplace, they have integrated AI. You know, uh, and how I know a lot of people are using it is because there's a lot of older guys that when they send the emails out, I'm like, oof, somebody needs to come translate for me. You know, But now I'm getting these emails and I'm like, oh, the grammar's correct. That ain't them. you know, or a lot of supervisors are using it to write your reviews. And I'm like, hmm, you know, I don't know how this pans out. Then again, as long as it's good, I get my raise. So, but no, you could tell the difference, over the years, the integration of AI and it seems to be taking over the workplace. You know,
Yeah.
Well, there's something that AI cannot do, and that is put a stylization on who you are as an artist and as a musician. Drew, are you still playing the guitar with the colorful strings?
So I switched from the bright, colorful to just neon green, specifically for this album cycle because the color theme is green. So I've been playing these all year.
Okay, cool. See, AI can't do that for you. I mean, I guess it could, but it's not going to change those strings for you.
That's right.
well,
Yeah, Drew
Mia?
oh,
actually
go ahead.
Drew actually got asked what kind of guitar it was the other day, and I
Oh,
think
yeah?
it is an interesting answer.
It's an Ibanez Iron Label, which is like a, super heavy metal guitar. And so I
Heck yeah.
intentionally got that for this band because at the beginning it seemed very much like we were going to be a very girly pop band. So I thought it would be a nice contrast to just have this absolutely heavy metal guitar with these rainbow bright strings on it for the band. So yeah, it started as a joke that only I would ever appreciate. But
Okay.
So he has the options to shred.
yeah,
Right.
I have the equipment for it. I just don't have the hands for it.
We're gonna turn you and Drew into a shredder before the end of the podcast.
So I'd like
Speaking of
to. I'll
songs,
go.
Mia, tell us about singing the Pokemon song at the end of one of your shows.
I can't believe we found that. Yeah, we were headlining that night, and this was very early on, so like we didn't have that many songs, and we had gotten done, and the crowd was like encore, encore, and they were going. So I was like, obviously right off the dome, Pokemon theme song, let's go. And I just sang
Yeah,
it, and they loved it. So evidently, it was a good choice.
Heck yeah.
bet that
That's
Go
my
surprised
ahead,
him.
realm.
Rob.
Bet that surprised him. But moving on, we Ferg sort of touched on it, and the song "Bide," and it featuring American Theory. Um, so listening to "Bide," I got the sense that it's about enduring difficult moments instead of trying to outrun them. The phrase "bide my time" almost feels like a reminder to keep moving forward, and even when life feels overwhelming. What inspired that message and the lyrics?
Yeah, so I think a lot of this EP was written when I was I don't know, I was going through a lot of turbulence last year. Like 2025 was kind of a rough year for me. And so, the band was kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, after I was like going through so many different things at the same time. And so that's kind of like how I was, I guess, coping with like all of the turbulence I had going on with my life was just to, remind myself like almost, I don't know, my husband is Buddhist and I'm probably going to butcher this, but like a lot of what he tells me a lot is that, being present in the current day is the most important thing that you can do for like your mental clarity. And so a lot of what I was trying to do last year was just take things like day by day and, endure everything that was going on, and focus on what I could control rather than what was out of my control. And so that's where a lot of the lyrics of Bide kind of came from, is that, I'll bide my time and I'll wait for the moment that all of this is going to be worth it.
Nice. Because tomorrow's never, promised, so. Well,
You guys are fresh off of playing the Sick Lick tour, and you just came in from Johnston City. You just played Capone's. Talk about these two events briefly, if you could, and talk about the experience and playing these events. Talk about fan reactions and just kind of a little bit about those shows.
Tom, you want to talk a little?
Yeah, well, as far as the Charlotte show goes, I mean, the Milestone feels like a second home for us, even though it is, 2.5 hours away from our home city. There's always a crowd there that is always super appreciative of the art that is happening in front of them. Um, and as far as Johnson City goes, that was our first time playing in Tennessee ever. And I I have a tendency of not paying too much attention. So I didn't know what we were walking into. And for it to be such a cool venue, for them to have such a cool sound guy, shout out Alan, um, and for the vibe just in general, seeing all these bands who are so appreciative that you came all the way out to their city, it was incredible, I think.
Agreed.
Yeah, and real fast, had a really good time meeting all of the fans. We had so many people that got CDs, and we signed CDs for them, as well as taking
Awesome.
some fan videos and selfies with people. We always love to meet you guys at our shows, and we're also super appreciative when you tell us things like, we came from TikTok, or we found you on Instagram, and things like that. It really like gives us hope and like helps us to keep going to hear those kinds of things. So really want to thank everyone that came out this weekend.
Heck yeah.
well, are there any dream collaborations still sitting on the bucket list?
I already got my dream collaboration. I wanted to work with American Theory first and foremost, and they said yes. So I'm good to go.
Heck yeah.
So there's a rapper from the Bay Area, and her name is Krayshawn, and I would love to have a song with her. That's the bucket list. You'll also find that I
Okay.
mentioned Krayshawn an awful lot, but so fucking good, iconic.
Awesome.
She is iconic. Fendi Fendi Prada. I would say for me, I'm gonna shoot a little higher. I'm gonna shoot like pie in the sky dream collab. Um, I'm gonna go with Bruno Mars. And the reason why I'm gonna go
Ooh.
with Bruno Mars is that he collabs with everybody. Because I heard that he has a debt to pay. So as soon as we're big enough, I want a collaboration with you, Mr. Bruno Mars. I love your voice. I love your music. Um, Call me, please.
Bruno, if you're listening, if you're tuning in,
That gambling debt ain't gonna pay itself.
So
Well, we usually ask you guys, we usually ask our bands about dream venues, but instead of necessarily doing that, I want to talk to you about one of the venues you guys have played because when I was reading about it, it sounded like such a cool place. So you guys tell me about it. It's called the Poorhouse. It's a record shop and a vinyl pressing hub, and they serve upwards of 30 craft beers on tap. So you can come have some craft beers. You can listen to a live show. It's a record shop. Talk about that venue. I want
where's
to know
this
more
place
about
at
that
again?
venue. You guys have played there.
So the Poorhouse is it's a Raleigh staple. Independent music venues are going by the wayside very quickly, but they've been holding strong for a long time. So we do everything we can to support the Poorhouse in Raleigh. But it's so cool. It's a two. I don't know if you saw any photos, but it's 2 stories. So like the record shop is upstairs, but there's a balcony to where you can overlook the stage down below, and then the bar is
Oh,
downstairs.
nice.
Playing out. It's such a cool setup. I love that place. I've gone to a lot of
Heck yeah.
shows there over the years.
I had to add that on my bucket list.
Yeah.
So
And it's spelled poorhouse like Pour, like you're pouring a draft, you know.
yeah,
Exactly.
not what it sounds like when he says it. So,
My
but
mom had the same question when I told her we were playing there. She was like, "The the are you allowed to say that?" And I was like, "No. Like poor mom, like POUR. They sell beer."
so where can everyone catch Color Me Crazy live in the coming months?
So we have a weekender planned with American Theory in a few weeks. We will be in Winston-Salem, North Carolina on August 20th, and then we'll be in Stanton, Virginia, August 21st, and then we'll be in Wilmington, North Carolina, August 21st. And then the very next week, we're playing a festival in Sanford, North Carolina called Hemlock Fest. Those are
Oh,
our 4 August
nice.
Nice.
shows.
Y'all heard it here, guys.
Yeah.
And I got a few buddies that are over there. They have a band as well, so they usually play the festivals and stuff like that. They're 42. I don't know if y'all familiar with them,
Or
but
not.
yeah, we one of the guys that created the band. We served together in the military, so he started a band after he got out, and I was like, I didn't even know about it. He never told me, and then when I talked to him one day, or no, I seen a video, and he's singing. Now I already knew he played. He played good, and he sang good. And when I come across a video, I was like, whoa, hold on. Had to call him. And I was like, hey, you started a band? You never told me? He's like, yeah. But yeah, cool group of guys.
A
Um,
really awesome punk trio.
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Before we wrap things up, if someone watches this interview a year from now after discovering Color Me Crazy for the first time, what's the one thing you'd hope they take away about the band?
That one's all you, Mia.
That we're their favorite. No.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think what I really hope is that our lasting legacy is that Color Me Crazy was this really cool band that wasn't afraid to do new things and supported a scene that was inclusive of everyone and made everyone feel like they had a fantastic night at all of our live shows. That's what I want. I want people to make core memories with us.
I want us to be associated with positivity. Everything about us. I want people to remember only positive things. We were a good time to hang out with. We were good people. They enjoyed the music. No negativity here. Ain't got time for it.
Y'all's answers are so good. See, I have no hopes for, and I have no expectations about what anybody is supposed to get out of our music because music is so many things to so many people. I know a guy who his only interaction with music is when he puts on like lo-fi hip hop beats to study to. Like he knows who like Michael Jackson is or Beyonce, but outside of that, he doesn't seek out music, listen to music. I can't expect for anything I'm doing to land with that guy, you know? I just hope whoever does listen to it enjoys it.
Well, I personally liked your answers because Mia, you mentioned Amy Lee earlier, and it's interesting that you did right on time because I just finished up a review on their sixth studio album they just released, Sanctuary, and she made a statement back in a concert in 2015 about music and playing a show and about it being our sanctuary, a safe place with almost a spiritual type experience that we have as lovers of music. And so I find your answers very fitting, especially with her being one of your role models. I think that's great.
Well, thank you all again for coming on BSing with Y Eagle Y. It was great getting to know the people behind the music. Be sure to follow ColorMeKrazy on social media. Stream their latest
Yes.
releases. And if they're playing anywhere near you, go catch a live show. Show you so you'll understand what they're all about. Thanks again, and we can't wait to see what comes next. This is Rob. We'll catch you on the next one.